All right, so we're here with some casting crew from the short film Graffiti, and Charlie, you also got a couple other films that you were a part of in the festival as
Oh
well.
my God.
I think The Little Star, I think you were part of, right? And then Zoom Dating as well.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Charlie Norton. I'm a director, cinematographer, and editor from Bridgewater, Massachusetts. And I'm glad to be back at Brightside. And yes, I do have a couple projects I'm involved in, not directed, but
Yeah.
helped out on the producing and the cinematography side. Zoom Dating was directed by Brendan Egan and Haley Pine. And Little Star was directed by Haley Pine. And yeah, it's glad those projects are in. I'm happy they're doing well, and I also got another film up my sleeve, which is Graffiti, and I'm
Yeah.
very glad to be here. Yeah.
Awesome. So, and Matt, and what did you do in Graffiti?
I played the role of Don.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the wild batshit crazy principal, the balloony guy.
How did casting go for it? How did you casting for you?
So
Process.
casting was it was interesting kind of how it all came together. Because when Graffiti, I'll just start before I get into casting. Graffiti was originally conceived by my aunt Jess Foster, who wrote the original script when she was an undergrad at the University of Iowa, and she had the script for a couple years. And when I started to get into film, she introduced it to me, and I fell in love with the script. I've loved it since I was 15. I love it now when I'm 20. And yeah, it just kind of came together. It took a while. Really, she was working on it for a good 5 years, and then just kind of dropped the project, and then kind of adopted it to me, which we did some reworking. And definitely for casting was it was an interesting choice, just because it was my first real entry into like actually looking for real talent and to work with professional actors. And casting Don was going to be the hardest thing, and thankfully we landed on probably one of the best actors in Queens, Astoria. And yeah, we went through about like maybe 30-40 Dons before Matt got it. And yeah, it was definitely, there was a lot of people. We had a lot of Dons. We had a lot of very intimidating, psychotic Dons. We had a lot of more very in demand, in charge, like school principal kind of personas from some talent. But Matt had this balance that seemed intimidating, crazy, but also has some kind of control or reason why he's he's obsessed with his school and obsessed with graffiti on the walls, and just kind of really he's a man for his school. I'll say that. But yeah, it was we had to cast we had to cast a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a big cast, right? A lot of.
Yeah, we had a big ensemble, and those were actually easier than finding Don. It's hard to find your main lead, because your main lead is the rock of your film, besides your crew and your director and whoever else is on board. Because if you don't have that rock, then your film isn't going to be stable and people won't tune in. But you need, once you find that solid, that solid hard base, it just builds. The film builds, and I felt like that this was a project where everything was building and building up to a lot of potential. And it's definitely there's a lot of a lot of promise. There's a lot of things that are good. I'm glad to see. And Matt definitely was very excited to be on board, and just kind of how his process. I'm it's been a while since we talked about this, Matt. I'm very curious how you your experiences with from beginning to up till now.
Yeah, how was the process for you in getting casted, Matt?
Yes, it was the first project I had done right after the whole world shutdown thing, So I was eager and ready to get back out there. And yeah, I remember when Charlie approached me with it. I loved the script. I was like, yep, this is right up my alley. He's a character with many levels. I feel like it wouldn't be fair to the character to play him just like one tone throughout the entire thing. So it was a really fun challenge for me. And yeah, and it was just also just the team and everyone that Charlie brought to it was amazing. It was such a fulfilling experience. And yeah, like he's a great director, like, you know, like a very young, go far in his future. And I really enjoyed working with him. Like every note he gave me meant something, you know, helped me out also. And I feel like I brought things towards the character also that he never really thought of before. And yeah, it was just a great partnership, you know, and it was a fun time, you know, very great production value. And yeah, I stoked on it. Like love where it's going right now. It's killing it. And there's so much more to come. So I'm so excited. Like,
did you do some research? You're like, I'm a teacher myself, so did you like kind of think back or kind of do some teacher research or watch like a movie like Teachers?
No, like I kind of like to like discover my own thing. Like, you know, like I use like inspirations of actual teachers I knew, you know, just like little bits and bobs, you know, and, but then added a bit of the mental twist, you know, of who Don was. And that was one of the fun things about the project. I got to really discover him each day of the shoot. And yeah, it was fantastic. Like it also helped. I had wonderful actors that I acted alongside who really helped. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience.
Charlie, how did you get this whole production done during this time period? Because I get, you know, you get some movies that were done and edited right before it or during it they were being edited, or I get movies like right now, like how we're talking, people were doing it online and stuff like that. So it's tough it's kind of hard to get that done during that time. So how was that process?
I mean, like any other film that's being made in a pandemic, it's you know, it's a challenge, especially for a student film. And you know, college is very strict with how the shoots are being done and how kind of what we are allowed to do, what we can't do. You know, just a lot of rules, a lot of, you know, regulations under my university's curriculum. But I kind of wanted to break free from what my school was trying to have me do and kind of take a little bit more independent creative route. So I really stuck back to my roots. I went back home. I traveled home to go shoot this film. And if you just heard my dog, but I traveled home and just got everyone I knew at the time and worked with, you know, we got together, made sure everyone was regulated, tested. I made sure everyone got tested. I kept record of who was, you know, there was no vaccines then when we shot. We shot back in November of last year. So it was definitely a lot of micromanaging, and it was a very large cast and crew for a student film. I'll admit it myself. It's a very ambitious project. Was
it your largest cast, I would say?
It's probably the largest cast and crew I've worked with on a production that I was, you know, head chief. We had about 50 people on set, and that's a lot. And our whole film was interior, and the only reason why it worked was just we had to do a lot of kind of fire watch windows and kind of separate groups. We had Group A, we had Group B. So Group A was the principal talent and above the line cast and crew, and then we had Group B as below the line cast and crew, like production assistants, grips, assistant cameras, and, you know, everyone on that end of the totem pole. But the school was very big. We shot in Fall River, Massachusetts at Durfee High School, and it had about 4,000 students in that school. It was a very large school, and the town of Fall River had to vote if this film could even be made at their school. That, and just kind of, you know, had to go through a lot of meetings, a lot of, hey, we gotta get this done now. It's like, you know, you never know, like, you know, take the risk. I mean, why take the risk in a pandemic? But I guess they trust us and believe in our team that we to get this done in 2 days. But it was definitely, it was a challenge just because we didn't want anyone getting COVID, and we want everyone to be safe as possible, keep everyone masked. And even now, like, you know, with vaccines now, like these rules we were following 6 months ago are still being implemented now. So nothing's changed.
Haven't changed them. They haven't changed the rules yet. Yeah.
Nothing's changed. So we had to be very, very cautious. And no one got COVID. Everyone was social distance. Like we all followed as a team. It was very coordinated and structured. And that's what you want on a student film. And it's very rare when you have films like that where it's like that, especially for a young filmmaker or working with young filmmakers. Because this was a hybrid of, you know, student filmmakers, high school filmmakers, and professionals. So it's, we had a good balance.
And was it for your semester?
Yes. Yeah. So it was for my sophomore semester. And I got a cut done before the semester ended, but I was not satisfied with the cut that happened afterwards. I went back and recut it for a couple months to make sure it was perfect. Because really I don't look at films as something that you turn in for a grade for school. You kind of go and you craft it. Yeah, it's literally like making a hamburger. You got to go in, you make one hamburger. If it doesn't taste good, you make another one, and you make another one, and so on until you have the best best cuisine or best entree that you have. Because a film is literally a plate. If someone doesn't like it, then they're not going to be interested. And I wanted to challenge myself with how it was crafted from beginning, middle, and end.
And so, when did you finish it? The editing and everything.
The final cut was done in April, and the final cut. I haven't even said this publicly, but the final cut means a lot to me because I had a relative pass away the day after, and I knew this person was sick. And when I was finishing the final cut, I had some push, some spiritual push of just getting it all crafted together. That there was some final product that was like gonna be destined to do something. And I don't know, I'm a very religious guy. I felt something when it got done, and then it just kind of came together, I guess. And it's July, it's gone into 6 or 7 festivals so far, and this has been the biggest run it's had. Yeah, there's a lot in stake for this festival, and we're very excited to be screening.
Have you had live festivals yet? Any of them been live yet?
We had one. It was the premiere.
Cool.
Hofstra Student Film Festival had a live premiere,
awesome.
And it was exciting. It was fun, first film festival in a year.
I know, right?
So a year and a half to just be with people, and yeah, it got a roaring round of applause. I was happy about it. I was very stoked to tell Matt that his performance kept people talking afterwards. That's been the compliment of just looking back right now, is that everyone's been talking about the performance. Even the film festivals that did not get into, I've gotten compliments that Matt's performance has been the reason why people stay. And that's always a good thing, because film, we're here to entertain. That's the purpose of film. Where, it doesn't have to be the most artistic thing. There's a lot of film that's art. But then there's a lot of film that really gets you to entertain, and you want to have to find that balance. I think that's what graffiti is to me, is finding a balance of creatively insane, but also being enjoyed to see someone go batshit crazy.
So, Matt, did you after you did this project, did you work on anything else during the COVID times, or had things started to pick up again more now?
Yeah, totally. I've done a couple other shorts myself. I own a film company myself called Amros Films, and Charlie actually came on board on that set also and helped me out. After I feel me and Charlie have really created a bond since graffiti. We help each other out, and I really appreciate him in my artistic life, and he's a good friend also. But we went to Long Island and we shot a film out there called Fireflies, and that's right now in post. But just the struggle of the working actor, it's kind of like a new beginning, and but to have a film like Graffiti, in my reel, going around the festival circuit does help out with getting more work, and I feel very blessed that I got to play such a character, and I'm happy my performance came out the way it did, and it was a lot of fun. One of the best projects I've done.
Second best actor nomination for this one. That's quite an honor. I feel so blessed. I'm happy people liked it.
So a lot of films now, I guess, during these times, or it's kind of changing anyway. Was a lot of self tapes? Is that how you kind of working towards?
It's a bunch of self tapes. Even with different casting directors that I used to go in for, now it's all just self tapes, Zoom. In a way, it makes it a bit easier. Yeah. You're not just always traveling all day. To this audition, that audition. I do quite like doing self tapes. I'm a bit of a I beat myself up sometimes, so like I like to look over the audition. Like if I don't like a take, let's do it again. Like yeah, it's a strange time, but I think I can speak for most actors. I think we've got used to it now.
Yeah, because I mean, will they be going back to some live auditions? You think, or a lot of those places are closing down in the city? Obviously, during all this time.
Some are like a lot of theater auditions are trying to go back into person because there really isn't anything like a live theater audition.
Yeah.
But film, people like to see the way you look, like how you look on camera. So they like to re-look at your tapes, through their castings, and but everything's good. Just have to keep on going.
Yeah. So Charlie, you watched a bunch for this character. You said like 30, 40 of them?
We had about 30, 40 dons, and there was it was really very raw for me to kind of go through a virtual casting process. It was for your first college, what you could consider your first real college film, and like go through something like that in a pandemic. It's you would not expect it. And even trying to reach out to people from Massachusetts to Rhode Island to New York to Pennsylvania to California, like pretty much anywhere, having this role open-ended. We got a lot of people. We mostly had the casting call in the Northeast. And there was one Don who looked like a principal, like my high school principal from back in the day, but he didn't have the intensity that Don was. And that just, not many principals go too deep into their own personal agony. They kind of keep it in. They got to run a system. The school's a system, and you need someone to break that system. And it was one of the hardest. Yeah, it was a very hard casting choice. It was. I'm just happy that we got that Matt trusted the process. That's it's always good for an actor and a director to have this trust to kind of work together, even like when you haven't even met for the first time in person until the day of. And kind of just make it work. It's definitely, it was intimidating. I was very intimidated from beginning to end of being able to have it the most perfect thing possible. But I think it's we had to. It's a lot of work. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah,
because I hear my dog banging the door upstairs. That's he's he wants to talk too.
He's excited.
So it's great that we tried. Last time we did the Brightside, we did one. It was a little delayed, and we had it in May, and we had it was online, but we had some people there. So now we're excited and ready to have everybody back. So it should be a fun time on the 31st and the 1st. So we'll be excited to show that we have a lot of high school films and college films, and there's stiff competition, man. The college films, even during this time period, are so well done. It's an impressive 2 sets of college films.
2 sets.
Yeah, 2 sets of college films, and they're all, or maybe even 3, because there was one that's kind of like a real long one too. So there's just so many. So it's it's the whole day of high school and college films. So it'll be exciting. It should be a fun day.
It's fun. 31st is actually my birthday. Oh. so that's I see that as a good omen.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I remember you texting me that. You're like, "Oh wait, we got on this festival. Oh, when's the date? Oh, it's on the 31st." I'm like, I guess that was a nice birthday present when you got that nomination.
Yeah. I was like, that's freaking awesome.
We won't go too late either. I think we'll end the day kind of nice, so everyone has a Saturday night. So it's
exactly
for that day. But
exactly, yeah.
So during the production, the camera, the cinematography that you used, how did you work that out? Was it through the school that you get that camera, and people from the school work with you on that, or do you hire out or get other people to do it?
It really depends on the project, really.
Mm-hmm.
I could speak on Graffiti. The reason why it was very challenging for me was that I was not only directing, but I also shot it.
Okay.
So I had that's very ambitious.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And I got a lot. So I have my own gear. So I shoot with Blackmagic. I like the Blackmagic cameras. I think it's a very good cinema camera, especially for college students and for starting filmmakers. I shot with the Ursa Mini Pro. My school has it, but I ended up renting from somewhere else.
Oh.
But there was a specific thing I needed for the Ursa Mini, but it was there's really no difference between the cameras. They all shoot great. It really came down to the lenses.
No lenses. It's all about the lenses.
It came down to the lenses. Yeah, those I definitely rented. I rented lenses, but half of it was provided by the school, and I'm blessed that Hofstra University was able to help with the funding and help with just kind of the paperwork and other stuff. The real behind the scenes stuff of film that is very overlooked. But also, I spent a lot of personal savings to kind of fund for certain rentals and for for certain people to come here, like and even for some people who are working in the professional industry. It's got to pay rates. It's like this at the end of the day, it's a student film, but it's also a business.
And SAG as well, right? SAG film.
No, it's non-union.
Okay.
I'm curious, Matt. Going off topic, are you SAG or are you?
I'm SAG. I'm SAG eligible.
SAG eligible. Yeah.
I'm not doing that yet until I have a couple other decent things under my belt again. I don't want to just be sucked into the only doing SAG things right now. So, but eventually soon. So use me while you can, Charlie.
Well, I'll see what I can do. Yeah. But back on the cinematography. I had I worked with a great first and second assistant directors, Nick Williams and Brendan Egan, who kind of helped me out and fill in shoes where I had to focus on cinematography. They're both very well directed and well talented in the director field, and I'm just glad I had them as partners on this project to really help me out and kind of just have these. There's no you can't do everything. It's something that a lot of filmmakers, even myself, is still learning. It's like it's always good to relinquish control. Something that it was such a personal project to me. I felt like I had to direct and shoot. But ever since then, after when it's happened, I'm like, okay, I gotta just focus on directing going forward.
I have to,
because it's very easy.
I have to say, I did appreciate when I was working with Charlie on this, that there were moments where, if me as the actor, I tried my hardest enough to like step on toes, like I believe that there shouldn't be so many directors in the room, things like that. But if I ever had a great idea, the great thing was like the communication. Like I would say, hey, let me try it this way. Like I think that this is why this works, blah 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 blah. Like he was always very open to letting me play and like throw that out. And it was also, in my opinion, I quite liked that my director was like behind the camera, like, because then they could actually see it firsthand, like, get the shot that, like, pan in if he's feeling that, like, it's kind of like a dance, with the actor and the DP, which I really love too. So,
oh my God, now that you're bringing that up, we could just go on for hours and hours. I think the perfect example of dance, when you thought of that, I'm just thinking of the finale sequence, just because we had a couple fights in this film,
yeah, that's
like
funny,
on screen, yeah, and that's, I think, the best example of dancing between talent, your director and your cinematographer, is that it's just, you got to have this flow to get this shot right.
Is it easy to shoot a fight?
It was you got to choreograph it very well, because we had two. Matt, I believe he had he's done fighting experience on screen in the past at the time. So he was very easy to work with. It was my first film to really kind of choreograph cinematography and directorial notes for a fight on screen, and it's pretty bloody. It works. It works very well.
It's all about the angles. Right?
Oh yeah,
all absolutely. About the angles. You could sell anything, just the right angle. Like,
Did you see the Cobra Kai end fight scene in the school that they did in season 2?
Oh yes,
is
yeah.
pretty nuts.
I watched Cobra Kai before we shot Graffiti, and a lot of other older martial arts films to kind of have a sense of how, like, very old school, like how it was done, and try to translate it to the present day. So like that's so funny that you brought that up, because that was actually one of the first things I was thinking of, was something like that. And I think it translated very well. We've definitely had a bunch of scares, like little jumps and all that. when it gets to that climax, it's I get scared sometimes, sarcastically.
So, what's next for the film?
Oh, what's next?
What's next for? You got into film festivals? Anything coming up other than the Brightside? Yeah, more.
Absolutely. So right now it's actually screening at the New York Global Liftoff Film Festival online.
Okay.
It's doing pretty well there right now. It got selected in the judges selects category, and we're happy it's screening there. We have another live screening coming up in October. The Maine Student Film Festival, which is that's been a big one. It's how many films got in there? Like they picked like 75 out of like 4,000 films that got submitted. Yeah, it was, and it got in and got a nomination for Matt. That was the first nomination announcement we got for Best Actor for Matt, and that's screening coming up. It was screened in Vancouver in July. It was also part online and then part in person, but it was. We've had some early success, which is great. It's we're still keeping an open mind open, and we're praying that it still keeps going. I think for a very early start, this was, I think we're doing pretty phenomenal. And to come in Brightside, 6 nominations, that's a lot. Someone counted, and I was like, cool, nice. 6.
We nominated, we got a lot of awards this time around. I guess because there was so many good competition. Sometimes we're like, okay, we can do this and that. We can't make up our minds right away. So we hold off and we nominated a bunch of things and different awards, and then we had some time to figure it out.
It's crazy. This is gonna be its biggest screening right now. Just there's a lot at stake. But then again, despite that, it's I think for anyone who wants to watch it, go and see it. I think you'll definitely get a kick out of it. I'm confident to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for both of you guys? What are you working on now or upcoming?
Matt, I'll let you start off.
I actually have another student shoot this weekend for an NYU film, and so that's pretty exciting. That actually I got that from a recommendation from someone I had worked with from another film. You see, that's why I gotta say something about working on student films is that I'm a professional actor. I've been doing this for a while, and but there is nothing more fulfilling sometimes to work on a really good script with young professional young filmmakers. They have a drive unlike any other, and it's very fulfilling. It's very good projects. So I'm excited this weekend. I'm shooting a new one for the entire weekend, I'm still in the edit process of my film that I directed that Charlie helped me out, Fireflies, and I just keep on auditioning, keep on. Hopefully the work will keep rolling in.
An actor friend of mine, Jack Mulcahy, who I don't know if you know from Brothers of McMullen from a long time ago, he said the same thing about student films. He'll be in a student film if he'll read it, or so he's still doing a lot of student films, and they do well.
Student films are amazing. I shot a new one where a couple months ago, it was at the it's a famous comedy club in New York. It's just blanking right now.
Caroline's?
No. The Slooper Room. But anyway, so I guess for example, they got that as a set, which was beautiful. I play like a jaded comedian, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderful shoot. As I said, student films again, man. They're driven. They have an eye. They're the future. So you keep that's where I'm going on with keeping and good spirits and good connections with these guys, because sometimes they trust your work as an actor and they recommend you, and sometimes you don't even need to audition. They're just like, hey, we would just love you to like watch your reel. You there's so much praise about you. Would you be interested? Give the script a read. And like 9 out of 10 times the script's awesome and let's do it. It's always good to be working. Keep those creative juices flowing. It'll only, as an actor, as any artist, like it just improves you. And
absolutely. What about you, Charlie? What's the next film, or are you working on anything now?
The next film was already shot and edited.
Really?
I've kept this very quiet, and I have another film that's on my hard drive right now as we speak, which is still going through some color and sound, and I'm hoping to get something out there by the fall or whatever I do with it. But yeah, I'll say Charlie Norton's got another film in the can.
All right.
But we need to ride on that graffiti train right now. So,
yeah. What about, you talked about the sound and the color. You got interesting color and great sound on graffiti. How did you go about working on that?
Oh my. Wow. Sound and color. Color, I actually...
It's hard. I always give it to other people because my eyes, even though I'm not colorblind, I mess up color. So whatever I do, I'm like, you help me with the color. Someone that I know. So.
Yeah. There's so much that someone can do when editing, especially like for student films where there's a lot of young filmmakers who are directing, shooting, editing their own projects, or even directing, editing, and so on and so forth. And this is where the relinquished control thing I learned during the post-production process of graffiti was, there's some things if you feel like it's too much for you to do, or if it's like you feel you're not confident in being able to do it, work with someone and see what they can do. Because that's people have a vision and they bring it in to make this one film or make a feature film. I actually worked with the guy who let me rent out the Black Magic Ursa for graffiti. He was a colorist, Baptiste Cara, and a great friend of mine. And he was he definitely he saved me there. We worked on it for some time. We got a feel of it. He helped me fix what was already done before with coloring, because we did a prelim color. He definitely saved a lot in terms of color. And is a very good colorist, very young, Hofstra grad too, which was a kind of a funny coincidence.
Yeah.
And then for sound, I worked with a sound mixer in Boston who was out in LA for about 10, 11, 12 years, or probably more. He's but he was the chillest guy I've ever met in terms of sound. I walk in and first thing, hopefully I'm allowed to say this, but first thing I walked in, he's lighting a joint. He's like, "Hey, Charlie, come in," and he's like, "It's all good." And he was
he's from California. He could do that anytime he wants.
He was very
out here too now.
He was very, I didn't feel intimidated, and as myself, I'm a 20-year-old college student who can get very intimidated in the world. And when someone's just like, all open arms and is like, this is, it's like you got a good product. It makes you feel more comfortable to, express your vision and work with someone like Bill. And I recommend, he's great. He had experience with Lucasfilm back in the day, like working in the 90s, 2000s. He worked there. He was a music guy as well. He had very strong resume and just a lot of experience that I learned a lot from him during the sound portion of it. And that was actually my weakness of making graffiti was I feel like I could have paid attention more to sound because you're so focused on if you're directing and shooting, you kind of forget about sound. And that's always not a good thing, because if you can have good visuals, but if you don't have good sound, it won't turn out as good. We thankfully had good sound, and I really want to give a shout out to Bill, because he helped the sound of graffiti really feel like it to me, it fills this hole that I was looking at the cut for so long. It fills this great big hole that it feels complete. Just because he had his touches and made it all feels like we're in a school. Yeah, it's definitely something. It's a challenging process. I will say that, and it's a lot of details you got to pay attention to as a young filmmaker, and or even just when you're out of college. It's like these. It's always keep a open mind.
Yeah.
So there's things that we can't control, and this is where that is.
Yeah, I mean, sound is a huge part. Like as you said, you can shoot a film on an iPhone, but if it doesn't sound right, you're not gonna finish that film. It's not gonna get far. I've been in a couple of films and produced a couple of films where I haven't focused on that area, and it is a huge part, So as is everything, but yeah.
I did that. I teach film in high school, and when I got there was like hardly any sound, and I'm like, all these movies are not going to be good unless you have good sound. So I ordered all this sound equipment, and still every year I'm like, we need better sound. We need better sound. But it's very important. But I was never good at color, so I thought I'd ask that question. So
I'm not good at color either. So wrong person to ask.
Do you use Premiere to edit? Or
I use Premiere Pro to edit. I almost thought about using Avid, and because the school advises use Avid, it's industry professional, it's all this, and it's a very great software. But I felt like I could have done faster on Premiere, and I think of how my plan was. I think it was easier on Premiere. I think it's a great alternative. It's a great blend. Color was done on DaVinci. I think it's a great industry standard for anyone who is getting into film post-production and wants to focus on color. DaVinci's your gold mine. It's a great toy to play around with. Something I cannot master, but definitely it's an art. It's certain softwares are used for certain things. And what's funny is I forget what post-production tool was used for sound. I'm assuming Pro Tools, but it was it just definitely we hopped a lot in the post-production field. That's took 5-6 months to get a final cut done.
Wow.
And again, it takes time. And student films, especially if you're making a thesis, you're getting this all done in a year, so you might not even have the time. And I think it's really I think the best way of planning it is really to plan ahead. Is have a schedule, have a mark on it. Because post-production will take the longest time. I will say that.
Yeah. So you're going back to school full time there? Coming up?
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'm going in my junior year. I'm taking a break in this fall. Not making a film, which is I think it's good because I put together 2 films. Spent a good amount of money my sophomore year, and I think I'm just kind of taking breaks and. Finally been able to work on union sets now. I've been PAing for a lot of productions happening in Boston, so it's helped me save time. And then hopefully in the fall, more so in the spring, I have something in store. But right now I'm just going to focus on this one film that I just edited and kind of completed. So that's really my main focus right now until something else comes up.
Great. Do you guys want to promote anything or add anything out there, or people can find you or find websites or some of your work? You want to start, Matt?
I don't know. At Matt at Mstana Instagram. If you want to check out my work, I post a bunch of stuff there. Amros Films, that's my film company, so I'm always looking to collaborate with filmmakers, and
Big shout out to Matt and Annie. Yeah, very love Amros and the Thirsty Koala as well. Good food.
Yeah,
you can. If anyone wants to check out my work, you can find me on Instagram at Norty137, NORTY137, and my website is www.flyingcarproductions.com.
Flying Car. Have you ever seen the short film that Kevin Smith made, The Flying Car?
Flying Card, but no.
Car.
Yeah, no, I have not seen The Flying Car.
Oh.
That's funny. Everyone mistakes mine. It's like, oh, it's Flying Car. No, it's Card, as in like a playing card in a deck of cards. So yeah.
If I have flying cars and rockets on my mind for all this news stuff with the base, all them flying in space and stuff this week, yesterday.
Chris, you're inspiring me for a company change now. Flying cars. Yeah.
I was also with Kevin and all that recently. So I was like, he did this flying car with the Clerks guys. So it was just in my mind. That's why when I heard that similar, I was like, oh, flying car. Short film from a long time ago.
Flying card.
Flying card. All right. Thanks for joining me today. And I'll get this up shortly on our social medias. And I'm a little backed up because I was away. But I got to get ready now for the festival. So there's a lot going on between now and then. I have other festivals I'm working. I'm going to Vegas for a couple days and for another festival. And then I'll be right back to Brightside. So it's going to be a little nuts.
Yeah, I feel you. I actually, I don't know why I didn't bring this up. I actually own a film festival myself called the Last Shot Film Festival. And we have our live event on the 24th.
Oh, wow.
So, so preparing for that. Also, we have our online from the 8th to the 18th. So you can view all the films there. But yeah, so actually Charlie is one of our judges for that festival.
Oh.
So, yeah.
And that's is that New York City Festival or?
Yeah, yes.
It is.
Yes, it is. So, yeah. I feel you with that preparation. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I just found out it's in person, so I now have a reason to go back to New York now, which is great. There we go. Go to Last Shot. There's a lot of great films out there coming up soon. But
I haven't been to the city in a long time, so I can't wait to go back when I get a chance to go to festivals and do that again. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thanks for joining me today, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
You.
All right. Thank you
so much.
Great.
Cheers.
See you.